Listen to me, I'm talking. I'm assuming you graduated from high school, right?
8th grade.
You went through 8th grade.
If there's evidence provided against me, I have a right to defend myself using that very same evidence.
That wasn't the question I asked you.
That's
you do have a right to defend yourself, Mr. Reamer. I'm just
my right for violence.
I'm talking, you're not. If you don't stop talking and listen to me so I can go through my speech, I will send you over to the jail.
You're the one that signed the warrant for my arrest while I was in jail.
I don't know that. I don't remember.
Yes, you did do that.
Okay. I'm allowed to do that.
No, you violated my rights.
Okay.
I'm not going to take any of the attorneys from here because they're all corrupt.
Defendant. Listen to me. I'm talking. I'm assuming you graduated high school, right? At least went through 8th grade? Judge. If there's evidence presented against you, you do have the right to defend yourself. Defendant. That's exactly my point. I have a right to defend myself using the very evidence brought against me. Judge. That wasn't the question I asked you. You do have a right to defend yourself, Mr. Reamer. Defendant. I'm just trying to speak. Judge, you're not listening. If you keep interrupting and don't allow me to finish, I will have no choice but to send you back to jail. Defendant. You're the one who signed the warrant for my arrest, while I was already in jail. Judge. I don't recall that. Defendant. Yes, you did. Judge. Even if I did, I'm allowed to do that. Defendant. No, you violated my rights, and I'm not accepting any other attorneys from this court. They're all corrupt.
In the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Shane Leroy Reamer, file number 23-21665FH. This is the date and time set for a final pretrial conference. Today was the motion deadline for both motions and motion in limines to be heard. Jury instructions were to be provided to the court by April 2nd, along with any proposed voir dire questions. We are set for trial on April 22nd of 2025. Mr. Reamer, you are charged with police officer resisting and obstructing causing injury, which carries a maximum penalty of up to 4 years in prison. Police officer assaulting, resisting, and obstructing, that carries up to 2 years in prison. There's 2 of those. And then there's a disorderly. And what is the plea offer in this file?
Your Honor, the people have offered a plea of 2 counts to attempted R&O.
All right.
So 2 misdemeanors, and we would kill a brute, no upfront jail.
All right. Mr. Reamer, the plea offer in this case was to plead to 2 one-year misdemeanors with no upfront jail. And there'd be like 12 months or so of probation, some minimal fines and costs. Do you understand that? All right. Now, Mr. Reamer, I'm assuming you graduated from high school, right?
8th grade.
You went through 8th grade, and this is a felony that could result in you going to prison. Why don't you stand in front of that podium for me? So, do you understand an attorney can help guide you through the legal process?
Yes, I tried to have, I almost had a public defender. Unfortunately, she wasn't representing me appropriately. I had asked for another one, but...
So, I have no authority over who gets appointed. You were appointed an attorney.
I understand that, but when they're not representing you appropriately...
Okay, I didn't ask that. I'm just saying, you have a right to an attorney. I know the attorney you're referring to. She's diligent. She works hard. Maybe you didn't like... I know when I was a public defender, sometimes my clients didn't like what I... Listen to me, I'm talking. My clients didn't like the things that I told them. But, her job isn't to do what you want. Her job is to represent the law. So you understand at this point, you can hire an attorney, or you can go with the public defender and whoever they assign you, or you can go to trial pro per with no law degree, no experience, and risk going to prison. You're going to represent yourself.
I'm going to represent I ain't got no choice but to represent.
Have you provided your jury questions, the voir dire questions? Because if you haven't, they're waived.
If they were due. If there's evidence provided against me, I have a right to defend myself using that very same evidence.
That wasn't the question I asked you.
You
do have a right to defend yourself, Mr. Reamer. I'm just
my right for violence.
I'm talking, you're not. If you don't stop talking and listen to me so I can go through my speech, I will send you over to the jail. Do you understand?
Judge. In the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Shane Leroy Reamer, file number 23-21665FH. This is the date and time set for the final pretrial conference. Today was the deadline for all motions and motions in limine to be heard. Jury instructions were to be submitted to the court by April 2nd, along with any proposed voir dire questions. Trial is scheduled for April 22nd, 2025. Mr. Reamer, you are charged with the following: resisting and obstructing a police officer causing injury, which carries a maximum penalty of up to 4 years in prison. 2 counts of assaulting, resisting, obstructing a police officer, each carrying up to 2 years in prison. 1 count of disorderly conduct. Prosecutor. Your Honor, the plea offer in this case is a plea to 2 counts of attempted resisting and obstructing, both misdemeanors. The agreement would include a Killebrew provision for no upfront jail time. Judge. Mr. Reamer, the plea offer is to plead to 2 one-year misdemeanors. There would be no upfront jail time, approximately 12 months of probation, and minimal fines and costs. Do you understand that? Defendant? I do. Judge. Now, Mr. Reamer, I'm assuming you completed high school, or at least went through the 8th grade. Defendant. 8th grade. Judge. Okay, you understand these are felony charges and you could go to prison? Defendant. Yes. Judge. Please step up to the podium. Do you understand that an attorney can help guide you through this legal process? Defendant. Yes, I tried to have a public defender, but she wasn't representing me properly. I asked for another, but Judge, I have no authority over who gets appointed. You were assigned an attorney. Defendant. I understand, but when they're not representing you appropriately. Judge. I didn't ask that. I'm simply telling you that you have a right to counsel. I know the attorney you're referring to. She's diligent and works hard. Sometimes clients don't like what attorneys tell them, but their job isn't to do what you want. Their job is to uphold the law. Now, at this point, you can 1. Hire your own attorney. 2. Go with the public defender and accept whoever is assigned. Or represent yourself, pro per, with no law degree, no legal experience, and risk going to prison. Are you choosing to represent yourself? Defendant. I ain't got no choice. I'm gonna represent myself. Judge. Have you submitted your jury instructions or voir dire questions? They were due. If there's any evidence presented against you, you do have the right to defend yourself using that evidence. Defendant. That's exactly what I'm saying. Judge. That wasn't the question I asked. You do have a right to defend yourself, Mr. Reamer. Defendant. I'm just thinking, I'm talking. Judge. No, you're not listening. If you do not stop talking and allow me to finish, I will send you back to jail. Do you understand?
All right. You have not filed any motions. Jury instructions were due and voir dire questions were due. You have not provided those. We gave you a copy of this. So do you understand what I've received is what will be used? Yes or no?
I will be allowed to ask my question.
What question?
When I'm cross-examining, I will get my.
I'm talking about juror questions. I'm talking about jury instructions and voir dire questions. You understand now? You didn't file. Listen, I know, but you waived that because you have not provided them. Do you understand that? You understand that?
No, I don't. I don't
Okay.
understand that. I didn't understand that.
Okay. Well, I
That's why
can't advise you of the law because I'm not an attorney. I'm a judge.
No, but you're looking at the case, and you've been presiding over my case for 3 years now.
I know. It's fine. You're going to go to
You're the one
trial.
that signed the warrant for my arrest while I was in jail.
I don't know that. I don't remember.
Yes, you did do that.
Okay. I'm allowed to do that.
No, you violated my rights. As well.
Okay. Well, you have options. You can file a complaint with the JTC if you'd like. So, are you prepared to go to trial?
Absolutely.
Have you provided your witness list?
I haven't yet, but I will.
Okay, that was due.
My witness list was provided when Ms. Underwood was my attorney,
Okay.
and my witness list is.
Have you subpoenaed any witnesses that were not on the prosecutor's raised just eyewitness list?
Yes, my witnesses are the ones that was there at the scene.
No.
And yes,
Do you understand that you have to provide a witness list and you have to provide a copy to the prosecutor? Do you understand that?
prosecutor, I gotta provide what to him?
So if you're gonna have witnesses at trial, you need to make sure the prosecutor has their name and contact information so that they could interview them prior to trial if they wanted. Do you understand that?
Well, they got all that information.
They do?
Yes.
Okay, so,
Yes. My witnesses are my parents and my aunt.
okay, I don't know, are those on, if they're not on the people's witness?
Or if
I'm not
any-
sure.
Okay,
Right.
if you haven't provided a witness list and they're not on the people's list, you understand you won't be able to call them.
Okay, I will provide the information. I
Okay.
will provide that information. Yeah.
I'm just telling you. So you need to make sure that there's a witness list in the file that was provided to the people.
So I gotta re-provide it.
I don't know. Go back and look at what
I'll
witness
just
list has
find
been filed, their name, their contact information, and then any subpoenas you have to do. If you have to subpoena anybody to be present, you need to get those filed this week. And then the court signs them, and then you serve those people with those. You understand? Now, do you understand when we go to trial, a lot of times some of the questions you ask or he asks may be objected to, and it's not personal, it's just, we have to follow the law.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm allowed to object too, though, right?
huh?
I'm allowed to object too.
You are, and then you have to provide the basis for that objection. Okay, so you need to understand your objections. So you might want to do some research to understand.
I've been doing.
Good, good. You sure you don't want a public defender for a trial?
Huh?
You sure you don't want an attorney for a trial?
I'm not gonna take any of the attorneys from here because they're all corrupt.
Judge. All right, you have not filed any motions. Jury instructions and voir dire questions were due, and you have not submitted those. We provided you with a copy of the scheduling order. Do you understand that what I have received is what will be used? Yes or no? Defendant. Will I be allowed to ask my questions? Judge. What questions? Defendant. During cross-examination, will I be able to ask my questions? Judge. I'm not talking about cross-examination. I'm talking about jury instructions and voir dire questions. Do you understand now? Defendant. No, I didn't understand that. Judge. Okay. Well, I can't advise you of the law. I'm not your attorney. I'm the judge. Defendant. But you've been presiding over my case for 3 years now. You've seen everything. You even signed the warrant for my arrest while I was already in jail. Judge. I don't recall that. Defendant. Yes, you did. Judge. Even if I did, I'm allowed to do that. Defendant. You violated my rights. Judge. You have options. If you believe that, you can file a complaint with the Judicial Tenure Commission, JTC. Now, are you prepared to go to trial? Defendant. Absolutely. Judge. Have you submitted your witness list? Defendant. Not yet, but I will. Judge. That was due. Was your witness list ever submitted when Miss Underwood was your attorney? Defendant. Yes. My list includes the witnesses who were at the scene. Judge. Have you subpoenaed any witnesses who are not on the prosecutor's list? Defendant. Yes. My witnesses are my parents and my aunt. Judge. If those individuals are not on the prosecutor's list and you haven't submitted your own witness list, then you won't be able to call them. Do you understand? Defendant. I'll provide the information. Judge. I'm just letting you know. You need to make sure there is a witness list on file that includes their names and contact information, and that it has been provided to the prosecutor. Do you understand? Defendant. So I need to provide that to them? Judge. Yes. If you're calling witnesses at trial, the prosecutor has to receive their names and contact details so they have the opportunity to interview them beforehand. Do you understand? Defendant. They already have that information. Judge. Good. So your witnesses are your parents and your aunt? Defendant. Yes. Judge. Make sure their names and contact information are included in a witness list, and make sure it's filed. If you need to subpoena them, you must file those subpoenas this week. The court will sign them, and then you have to serve those witnesses. Understood? Defendant. Yes. Judge. At trial, you need to understand that some questions, whether you or the prosecutor ask them, may be objected to. That's not personal. It's simply a matter of following the law. Defendant. I'm allowed to object too, right? Judge. Yes, you are, but you'll have to state a legal basis for each objection, so it would be wise to research and understand the grounds for common objections. Defendant. I've been doing that. Judge. Good. Are you sure you don't want a public defender for trial? Defendant. I'm not taking any attorneys from this court. They're all corrupt.
All right, the court will call the case of the Ranches of Rosebrook versus A Nice Battle, case number 25C-1245.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. David Fanter on behalf of the plaintiff.
Ms. Battle, please hit star 6. Unmute your device and state.
Hello? Hello?
Please state.
It's a niece battle on a special appearance for the record to contest the jurisdiction and the facts for this court.
Yep. All right. Well, Ms. Battle, I'll tell you that this matter is appropriately in the correct court. The court does have jurisdiction.
And that's based on what? What is on the record that is based on that the court has jurisdiction?
The fact that this is a case that is within the jurisdiction of the Township of Ypsilanti, and if you have issues related to any contracts, that would be within this jurisdiction as well. So all of that is within the jurisdiction of this court.
So you're saying that the contract is in jurisdiction of the court?
That is what I just said, ma'am.
All right, and the contract has been rescinded. So how is the contract in the jurisdiction of the court if it's invalid?
Who gets to rescind a contract on their own? That's
What are you talking about? I have the right to rescind a contract by right of common law.
Ms. Battle,
That doesn't involve court.
ma'am, you need to stop talking or you're going to get held in contempt of court. Mr. Fantier, have you had a chance to talk to Ms. Battle? I talked to Ms.
You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Mr. Fantera, do you need to speak with her or are we ready to?
If you want me to speak to her, I'll speak to her. She talks about rescinding the contract. Does that mean she's moving out?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
Are you moving out?
Are you moving out?
No. Why would I have to move out?
Because if you rescind a contract, okay, fine. Your Honor, I think let's set this for trial.
Okay. One moment.
This case has also been in it's in the circuit court. A petition filed for an injunction. I did serve you all. It is set on the 30th.
Yes, ma'am, I heard.
We're aware.
Okay. And once again, I do not submit to the jurisdiction of the court. The contract is rescinded.
So how can the
And I am
contract?
not a legal person.
You're not a legal
How
person.
can a contract?
Clerk. The court now calls the case of the Ranches of Rosebrook versus A Nice Battle, case number 25C-1245. Judge. Good afternoon. Plaintiff's counsel. Good afternoon, Your Honor. David Fant on behalf of the plaintiff. Judge. Ms. Battle, please press star 6 to unmute your device. Defendant. Hello? Judge. Please state your name for the record. Defendant. A Nice Battle, making a special appearance to consent to jurisdiction and the facts for the record. Judge. All right. Ms. Battle, I'll inform you that this matter is properly before this court. The court does have jurisdiction. Defendant. Based on what? Judge. Jurisdiction is established by the record, and because this case arises within the township of Ypsilanti, it falls within the court's jurisdiction. Any contractual disputes related to the matter are also within the court's authority. Defendant. So you're saying the contract falls under the court's jurisdiction? Judge. That is what I just said, ma'am. Defendant. The contract has been rescinded. How can the court have jurisdiction over a contract that's been invalidated? Judge. Who exactly gets to rescind a contract unilaterally? Defendant. I have the right to rescind a contract under common law. That doesn't require the court's involvement. Judge. Ms. Battle, if you do not stop interrupting, you may be held in contempt of court. Judge, to plaintiff's counsel. Mr. Fant, have you had a chance to speak with Ms. Battle? Plaintiff's counsel. You're breaking up a bit, Your Honor. I can speak with her if necessary. She's mentioned rescinding the contract. Does that mean she's planning to vacate the premises? Judge. Ms. Battle, are you moving out? Defendant. No. Why would I move out? Plaintiff's counsel. If you've rescinded the contract, then... Defendant? Fine. Judge. All right. We'll go ahead and set this matter for trial. Defendant. One moment. This case is also filed in circuit court under a petition for injunction. I served notice. That hearing is set for the 30th. Judge. Yes, ma'am. We are aware of that. Defendant. Once again, I do not submit to the jurisdiction of this court. The contract has been rescinded. I am not a legal person. Judge. You're not a legal person? Defendant. How can a contract bind me if I'm not a legal person?
No, I'm not a legal person. I'm not a legal entity. No, I am not. And you have to prove that on the record.
Actually, I don't.
I'm sorry.
Can I ask Ms. Battle a question, Your Honor, real quick?
Sure.
So, Ms. Battle, so you can live there forever without paying rent because you're not a legal person?
That's not what I'm saying, but the contract itself is invalid. I'm saying that you don't have any personal or subject matter jurisdiction over me. Over an invalid contract, no. And over me not having the legal capacity to be sued, yes. So if that's how you want to take it, then that's how you have to take it. But that's what's lawful, and that's what's written in the law.
Let me just tell you, I think you're wrong on both counts. I would expect that we would.
It's okay for you to think that I'm wrong, but the facts still align with what I'm saying.
Okay, Your Honor, I think we should have a trial.
You have to prove without the reasonable doubt. So let the record show that the judge has not required the plaintiff to prove without a reasonable doubt that I am a legal person, and it's on the record, not assumed, not presumed, on the record. There's nothing that's on the record that states.
Ms. Battle, first of all, reasonable doubt is a standard in a criminal case, not a civil case. So I do not have to prove anything beyond a reasonable doubt.
I need both of you to stop talking, please. Both of you, I'm sorry. I cannot figure out the date because I can't hear over the two of you.
I apologize. I didn't know that's what you were doing, Your Honor.
This matter is scheduled for May 6th at 3 p.m. for a trial on any and all issues that may be before the court. Ms. Battle, if you have anything else that you need to say, you can unmute yourself by hitting *6 to do that.
Okay, I just find it ironic that I got muted when I was speaking on jurisdiction and how there was a lack thereof on the record. So I want that to be on the record. But I also wanted to, okay, that's fine. And I also wanted to be on the record that I am not going to be able to show up on May the 6th. So it's also ironic that you are able to verify with him that he's able to show up and not with myself.
I just asked you that, and you are now talking about something else. Why can't you do this?
That's because you cut me off and put me inside of a break room and muted my mic instead of allowing me to speak on what needs to be spoken on.
All right, this is set for May 6th at 3.
Your Honor, by Zoom? By Zoom?
Correct.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
It's ridiculous. This is a fraud upon the court. Goodbye.
Defendant, Ms. Battle. No, I am not a legal person. I am not a legal entity. You have to prove otherwise. Plaintiff's counsel. Your Honor, may I ask Ms. Battle a question? Judge. Go ahead. Plaintiff's counsel. Ms. Battle, are you saying you can live at the property indefinitely without paying rent because you're not a legal person? Defendant. That's not what I'm saying. The contract is invalid. I'm saying the court lacks both personal and subject matter jurisdiction over me because the contract is not legally binding, and I do not have the legal capacity to be sued. Plaintiff's counsel. So you believe the contract is void and the court can't hear this case? Defendant? Yes, that may not be your belief, but that is what the law supports. Judge. Let me just say, Ms. Battle, I believe you are incorrect on both points. Defendant. You're entitled to your opinion, but the facts still support. what I'm saying. Plaintiff's counsel. Your Honor, I believe this matter needs to go to trial. Defendant. And for the record, the plaintiff must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that I am a legal person. That hasn't happened. Judge. Let the record reflect, in a civil case, the standard is not beyond a reasonable doubt. That only applies in criminal cases. There is no requirement for the plaintiff to prove anything to that standard here. Judge, firmly. I need both of you to stop talking. I cannot proceed if you are talking over each other. I'm trying to set a trial date, but I can't hear. Clearly. Defendant. I apologize, Your Honor. I didn't realize you were trying to set a date. Judge. This matter will be scheduled for trial on May 6th at 3 p.m. to address any and all issues before the court. Judge. Ms. Battle, if you have something further to add, you may unmute yourself by pressing *6. Defendant. Yes. For the record, I find it ironic that I was muted while raising concerns about the court's lack of jurisdiction. I want that reflected in the record. Also, I won't be able to attend the hearing on May 6th. Judge, I had just asked if you were available and you changed the subject. Defendant. That's because you muted me and placed me in a breakout room while I was trying to speak. I wasn't given the chance to respond properly. Judge. The hearing is set for May 6th at 3 p.m., and it will be held via Zoom. Defendant. This is ridiculous. This is a fraud upon the court. Judge. Thank you. We are adjourned.